Welcome, traveller. You honour my workshop with your visit. I am Hana Runelight Shiratama, the Depth Delver. I see you are new to the city. You come seeking knowledge of the Gnishiho, yes? Please sit. I will prepare glowcap tea and share the tales of my people. Over 2 Gamera ago, within a labyrinthine network of caverns that descend deeper than any sea, among crystal-filled paradises that glimmer more brightly than the lost stars, desperate gnomes, my honourable ancestors, raised the first wall of a mighty city, a centre of peace and harmony called Petra. Far from the light of the kissing sun that once nurtured them in the first world, my ancestors struggled for survival against the alien depths that hungered to feast upon them. Yet they were strong, resilient survivors. When the war between the gods and the primordials began, and the cosmos trembled with divine fury, enigmatic fey beings of immense power, called the Eldest, took pity on the mortals and moved to intervene. Especially enamoured by gnomes' innate curiosity and affinity for craftsmanship, those among the eldest, known as Kami, led my ancestors' exodus from the first world. They brought us to this world and took us deep into its heart, where crystals blazed with the light of the Godai to wait out the schism. Life in those early days was most difficult. Many lost hope, were bleached of all colour, and perished. Yet our light would not so easily be extinguished. We are born of the first world, where the boundaries between the real and magical are like smoke. The ever-changing primeval wilderness enchanted us with its mutable fey essence. My people adapted quickly to the subterranean domain, absorbing the elemental energy of the mineralized caverns. We evolved, became Gnishiho, a people aglow with the sparkle of gems, colors in the darkness. Before they returned to the first world to rebuild after the schism, our Kami guardians bestowed upon us great insights into stone, crystal, and shared their powerful rune language. This knowledge profoundly influenced our development. Over time, we blossomed into a colourful culture that mirrored the faceted beauty of the gems we came to adore. We learned to harness their radiant power to create intricate, light-infused artifacts. With them, Petra rose to become a beacon of hope to all who sought refuge in the underearth. Our civilization was a place of wonder and merriment that filled the darkness with joy. But still all was not glitter and glow. Our separation from the first world did not come without its trials. The absence of the sun's golden touch and sky's azure magnificence posed a danger of a different sort, the peril of oppressive gloom. Every day was, and still is, a fight against the darkness, not with fists and weapons, but with minds and hearts. We strive to become lights in the deep, using our ingenuity to ensure that the shadows are always pushed back. Thus, our mastery of crystal and light magic is not just a tool for survival, but the heart of our identity. In addition, the Kami taught us how to speak with the Godai spirits of the earth. Our communion with the Chi Godai, or what some call earth elementals, has given us the ability to fortify our enclaves against the ever-pressing shadows, creating sanctuary from seclusion. It is said the first of our kind to learn to use the Kami's rune tongue, the Earth Callers, forged pacts with the Chi Godai that brought safety and prosperity to both our peoples in the olden days. Thus, our Earth Callers are venerated as both spiritual leaders and stone innovators, and their teachings formed the bedrock of our society in both the past and the present. There is no greater historical example of this than when the Earth Callers led the Gnishiho as part of Mittsulithion, the land of 3 stones. Have you knowledge of it, my honoured guest? No? Let me tell the story then. Mittsulithion was an alliance between my ancestors and the Droog and Oread. This federation of stone peoples was governed by leaders from each of the 3 pillars, or what you would call ancestries. Each pillar represented one of the mythical 3 sacred treasures. The Droog were seen as Tsurugi, the sword, the Oread as Kagami, the mirror, and Gnishiho as Magatama, the jewel. This alliance, though long broken after the fall of Petra, is still a source of pride among my people, a symbol of our enduring cooperation and strength. However, Mittsulithion was fractured during the War of Talon and Maul with the Draconic Kingdom, and the treasures were taken by Seb-Sarkib, the Ruby King. The Droog tried to rise up as the lone pillar in the aftermath, But their self-rule was cut short by the horrors of the dying creep that spread throughout the vaults. Although that was centuries ago, our legacy still burns brightly today, as can be illustrated in the birth of the free city of Pedestal and its ruling council. Pedestal, place of my birth, rose from the ruins of the Draconic Kingdom to prominence guided by our wisest Earthcallers. And despite attempts by the Seekers of the Darkwell to extinguish us after taking control of the city, our resilience and adaptability keeps our light lit. While I do not know what our role in the current struggle in the aftermath of the Voidwake will be, I am certain it will be profound. Apologies for my prideful statements. The tales of my people are close to my heart. For Gnishiho, these stories are not just legends. They are the essence of our culture and identity. Take the tale of the first Earth Caller, for instance. Kaya Glintshield Sekihoshi could speak directly to the heart of the earth, the Through her song, she led our people along a perilous journey to escape the wrath of a primordial when its war with the gods brought it to our doorstep. Using her powers to calm the earth, she brought the Gnishiho to the safety of these vaults. Her legacy lives on in the form of ancient runes carved on enchanted rocks called stone stars scattered throughout the vaults. These artifacts still wait to be discovered by future generations, ready to whisper her wisdom to those who know to listen. Not all our stories are of blessings and guidance. Dark Blades Fall and Rise is a tale with two edges, one cautionary, the other inspiring. During the War of Maul and Talon, there was a brilliant commander named General Riku Keensteel Hikarishi, known as the Dark Blade. Riku was a masterful tactician, but his arrogance and relentless pursuit of personal glory led to disastrous consequences. Driven by his desire for personal acclaim, Riku's defense of Petra lapsed, and its bejeweled walls, once thought impregnable, were breached by the Leviathans. General Riku, realizing the weight of his mistakes, sought redemption. He understood that true leadership lies not in never falling, but in rising after every fall. In an act of profound humility and courage, Riku surrendered his army and forged peace with the Ruby King. He sacrificed his personal honor for the survival and future of his people. His legacy teaches us that even in our darkest moments, there is always a path to redemption. For me, these tales are not boasts. They are my people's history, and I strive to live my life to their ideals that we can bring light to the darkness. You see, as Gnishiho, we feel a profound connection to the gemlight. We view each crystal as an expression of our Fey heritage and a testament to our ancestors' perseverance over the darkness. Every glimmering stone is a piece of our past, a story waiting to be told. When we walk through the tunnels of the vaults, the crystals bathing us with light are a reflection of ourselves. They shine with our history, a tapestry woven with the brilliance of our struggle. We also approach problems with a blend of discipline and zest, often finding solutions that merge tradition with innovation. This is the essence of the Stoneward Code, our guiding philosophy that blends old and new, magic and craftsmanship. When faced with a challenge, we don't just see a problem to be solved. We see an opportunity to create something beautiful and functional, a chance to leave our mark on the world. Some Gnishiho adhere to this aspect of the code perhaps too rigidly and focus on perfection over joy. Such Gnishiho prefer the company of a carefully crafted clockwork device or the silent presence of a chigodai, valuing their reliability and steadiness over conversation with others. For non-Gnishiho, this is often cited as our greatest strength, believe it or not. They say this intense dedication derives from our embrace of stone spirits and results in our marvels of craftsmanship. They admire the intricate jewelry and ingenious mechanical creations that seem to come naturally from our artisans. To them, these works are nothing short of magic. They see the artistry and skill in every piece we create, every innovation we introduce, and they are in awe of the beauty we bring to the world. Beyond our creations, outsiders rely on our expertise in surviving the treacherous depths, trusting our ability to discern safe paths through the most bewildering of underground mazes. This trust is thanks to our people's long history of exploration and the guidance of ancient Earthcallers. Our knowledge of the vaults, passed down from our Kami teachers, is a blanket of safety for all who seek its wisdom. Yet, despite these talents, many are cautious when negotiating with my people, aware of our adherence to the Stoneward Code's principles, as well as our reputation for fey cleverness and ability to see through deception. They know that we value truth and honor, that our words and actions are guided by a code that respects the balance of our world. Larger peoples, of course, believe we are brittle due to our childlike stature, that we will cleave as easily as feldspar. While it is true we are small, shorter than even the Droog and Yarra, we carry ourselves confidently, knowing the strength of stone and the power of the Fae sounds in every step we take. Besides, we are physically sturdier than our height suggests, a necessity for life deep within the earth. Our skin is the colour of stone, ranging from dull grey to an ore brown because it is tough. Our eyes shine with the luminous beauty of gems because they are polished like a lens, able to amplify the faintest flicker of light. And while we adorn ourselves with vibrant gemstones so that our skin reflects the spectrum of light given off by the mineral treasures of our realm and streaks of precious metals, these are not just for show. They allow us to better channel the magic of our Fey ancestry and energy of the vaults. This can be clearly seen in our males who proudly sport heads as bald as polished stone. But this actually serves as a canvas for intricate tattoos inked with luminous galls that help them connect to the power of the godai. For females, we often weave our hair with threads of precious metals like gold and mithril, interspersed with braids of brightly coloured gems for similar reasons. But to me, it is our eyes that are our most captivating feature. They glint with the clarity of finely cut jewels, capturing and reflecting even the faintest gleam, mirroring the inherent radiance of our world. When you look into the eyes of a Gnishiho, you see the glow of the deep, the sparkle of hidden gems waiting to be discovered. However, many outsiders would claim our dress is our most distinguishing feature. Our clothing is woven with materials designed to catch the light, fabrics that shimmer with mica, accessories that glint with iridescence, and armors adorned with reflective metals, luminous stones, and functional clockwork. This tailoring is more than just attire. It is a statement, a defiance against the oppressive darkness, a bold declaration of our identity as bearers of light. And do not think we are all the same. No, Gnishiho communities favour different gemstones or styles of adornment based on what's local, what's available. This leads to distinctive appearances and cultural expressions unique to each enclave. It's this diversity that adds to the rich tapestry of our society, where every Gnishiho is a living embodiment of our history, our culture, and our artistic spirit. I hope that my stories have intrigued you. If it pleases, I would continue and speak of the virtues of the Stoneward Code that unite our society, so that you may come to truly understand us. We Gnishiho have woven the Stoneward Code into the very fabric of our lives. It's as enduring as the subterranean stones we dwell among, and as intricate as the clockwork mechanisms we craft. The most esteemed families among us have, generation after generation, aspired to perfection living by the code. Its virtues have guided them to unmatched levels of martial prowess and artisanal creativity. Those who have mastered the code have mastered their craft. Their smithing and masonry are marvels of both beauty and utility. Their swords sing with the purity of crystal. Their constructs whirl to lifelike action with the precision of a clock. The principles enshrined in the Stoneward Code are as old as our culture, a set of moral and professional standards formalized during the construction of Petra. The code lists 7 virtues that all Gnishiho aspire to: righteousness, gi; loyalty, chugi; honor, mayo; respect, rei; honesty, sei; courage, yu; consistency, makoto. Although adherence to the code is exacting, we still find time to celebrate holidays and rituals that reinforce our connection to the earth as well as our Fey ancestry. These events often involve the crafting and gifting of gemstone tokens, believed to carry the blessings of the eldest. Important holidays include the Festival of the Crystal Bloom, where artisans display their finest creations and exchange gemstone tokens, and the Day of the First Descent, commemorating our journey into the vaults with rituals of light and shadow. While work seems paramount in our communities, families are the actual cornerstone of our society, often comprising extended kinship networks and generations. Families are led by the most skilled or honourable members, rather than simply elders or blood relations. Families are further organised into artisanal clans, each specialising in specific crafts or martial disciplines. Overseeing the clans is a ruling council, known as the Stoneward Assembly. It is composed of representatives from the most gifted professionals of each clan. The assembly governs our community, making decisions based on consensus, guided by the principles of the Stoneward Code. Beyond work, we have developed a unique and vibrant culture that celebrates the beauty of our subterranean world through music, art, and dance. Music serves as a means of communication, celebration, and emotional expression. The most revered musicians are those who can create melodies that resonate with the natural frequencies of crystals and minerals. Our art is both functional and decorative, often incorporating elements of both the First World and the vaults, blending organic forms with geometric precision. And although we may seem too severe for such a thing, dance is an integral part of our rituals and celebrations. In fact, its graceful, fluid movements are practiced with as much precision and discipline as our martial arts. Life as a Gnishiho is not just about survival, it is about thriving, about creating beauty in the darkest places, about finding light where there seems to be none. We are the Gnishiho, and we are proud of who we are and where we come from. Each of us carries the weight of our ancestors' hopes and dreams, and we strive to honour their legacy every day. These beliefs are the core of who we are as Gnishiho. They are a fusion of ancient warrior honour and elemental mysticism encapsulated in the Stoneward Code. This philosophy, said to have been revealed by the sacred jewel Magatama, a departing gift from the kami before returning to rebuild the first world with the other eldest, extols community, individual resilience, and the sanctity of craftsmanship. We revere both the forge's fire and the gem's facet, elevating our work beyond mere trade to a spiritual service where precision and ingenuity are sacred. Each creation, be it a jeweled amulet or a gear in a clockwork device, holds the creator's essence. It binds us to our stoneward vows of integrity and contribution. When we craft, we are not just making objects, we are imbuing them with a part of our soul, a testament to our dedication and skill. Central to our spirituality is our enduring connection to the First World, our ancestral homeland. Our love for gemstones is not merely an appreciation for their beauty. To us, each gem holds a fragment of the First World's magic, a lingering touch of Hikari's power. By crafting and adorning ourselves with these gems, we maintain our connection to our Fey ancestry and the protective magic that comes with it. This practice is central to our identity, with each gemstone not only a work of art, but also a symbol of our enduring pact with the elemental forces of the vaults. In our workshops, artisans and warriors alike are marked by patience and a profound drive to refine the world with their crystal and mechanical magics. Our workshops are altars to diligence, and our forges ring with the hymns of creation. This dedication to craft mirrors our deep-seated belief that each action, each invention, ripples through our society, affirming the collective's well-being as paramount. In worship, many of us honour the primordial Sairazul, the Crystal Queen, although we Gnishiho refer to her as the True Stone or Lodestone Lady, as she unerringly guides us safely home. However, for tinkerers and machinists, the whispers of Toma, bearer of the iron sky, are said to guide their hands when assembling wondrous mechanical works. For gem cutters and jewelers, especially since the horrors of the Voidwake, many have pledged themselves to service in honour of the crystalline titan Kavaka, the unblemished lord, seeking his luminous path to perfection as the goal for their own lives. Yet others among us, those attempting to recreate the forbidden technology of the Jaren who were somehow able to light the spark of life in their creations, mutter blasphemous prayers to the forbidden sky gods Tink and Felsar, said to be the creators of engineering and smithing. Similarly, among the gemblades are those who blindly, some say arrogantly, seek the pinnacle of martial prowess and tactical supremacy. It is whispered they pay secret tributes to the profane god Valur, believed to have been a stalwart defender of civilization, although if true, he has long ago forgotten about ours. For some, the eldest of the First World hold a special place in our spirituality. The Kami, who guided our ancestors to safety during the schism, are revered as divine patrons and protectors. They believe that the eldest still watch over us, visiting us in secret, and that their influence can be seen in the radiance of gems and the whispers of the earth. But for many Gnishiho, me included, we do not seek answers from deities or fey lords. We revere the memory of the ancient earth callers, mortals who bound their fates with the godai Chi to raise the walls of Petra against the darkness. Our rituals often involve invoking their names, studying their teachings for guidance, protection, and creativity. Despite our variety of beliefs, we all live by certain edicts that guide our actions. To master your crafts, you must innovate with reverence for tradition and uphold the subterranean balance. When seeking wisdom, we look in the earth's hidden facets, pursuing discovery through both light and shadow. And we share our mechanical genius for the common good, ensuring the prosperity and well-being of our community. Just as there are actions and standards we hold sacred, conversely, there are those we abhor. Turning from one's duty, misusing skills for selfish gain, and hoarding knowledge are the gravest breaches of the Stoneward Code. Misapplying your gifts, especially in the construction of oppressive tools, breaks the sacred trust that unites our community. The path of isolation is shunned, for disconnection from the Stoneward Code and our community leads only to spiritual erosion. Although you have honoured me with your patience throughout the telling of these tales, I must risk offence and end the story here. My brother Misamo, head of my clan, has requested I delve to the necropolis tomorrow in search of ancient salvage for his latest invention. Do not worry, though. I have descended to the deeps many times and I do not travel alone. I will have faithful Clickety-Clack at my side and brave Krieger to guard my back. Perhaps you think it madness that any of my people would choose to leave the safety and comfort of family and steady profession to become a delver such as me. Trust me, it is not a decision taken lightly, but it is one that speaks deeply to the heart of who my people are. Gnishiho often embark on dangerous adventures, driven by a profound desire to bring light to the darkest corners of the world and to showcase the splendor of our craftsmanship. This drive stems from our innate Fey curiosity and our cultural imperative to push back the shadows with innovation and brilliance. Many of us feel a calling to venture beyond our familiar tunnels to safeguard our kin from emerging threats. We are motivated by an insatiable curiosity to uncover the lost secrets and ancient magic that pulse within the earth's depths. Before venturing into the perilous life of adventuring, many Gnishiho honed their skills in professions that are now the bedrock of their journey. Some were esteemed gem cutters, spending their days within the sparkling confines of jewelers' workshops like mine, shaping rough stones into brilliant gems. Their keen eyes and steady hands now serve them well in discerning the hidden dangers and treasures of the vaults. Others stood as sentries, guardians whose vigilance and combat prowess were tested against the lurking threats of the deep. These skills now prove invaluable in protecting their companions in the wild tunnels. There are also former tinkerers, the ingenious minds behind the myriad of clockwork creations that pulse through Gnishiho society. Their craft involved not just metal and gears, but the very elements of magic, making them adept at deciphering ancient mechanisms and arcane traps that plague the ruins found in the deeper vaults. Lastly, many were scholars, dedicated to the pursuit of ancient knowledge, poring over runes and relics. They carry a deep understanding of the First World's magic and stand ready to unveil the secrets that now lie in the heart of the earth. Regardless of origin, when we step into the life of a delver, we carry with us a legacy of craftsmanship and guardianship that predisposes us to certain callings. Our life amidst shadows makes us natural rogues, with a talent for stealth, disarming traps, and revealing hidden paths. Those who stood as sentinels often emerge as formidable fighters, our martial discipline forged in the defense of our subterranean homes. Those with a culture rich in clockwork and arcane gems are predisposed to become inventors, melding magic with mechanics to craft wondrous inventions that accompany us on our quests. while for those with the elemental and fey magic coursing through their veins are drawn towards the mystical arts, pursuing the scholarly path of wizards or embracing the innate power of sorcerers. With our profound history, stretching as far back as our exodus from the First World and our centuries as part of Mittsulithion, the mythical Three Kingdoms inspires some of us to become bards. Such folk live to spin tales and songs that resonate with the magic of our ancestral achievements. No matter the choice of profession, each adventurer reflects the Gnishiho's deep connection to the earth and their defining ingenuity, ensuring that wherever they delve, they bring the light of their culture to illuminate the darkest corners of the vaults. So, as you can see, my honoured guest, choosing to embody a Gnishiho is to embrace the indomitable spirit of those who see the blackness of the vaults, not as a void, but as a canvas to be filled with colour, to become an architect of wonders by drawing inspiration through our fey roots from the bedrock of this world. For a Gnishiho, it is our sacred duty to be the echo of mirth in the silence, the spark of a jewel in pale stone, the dancing light that chases midnight from the tunnels. If you seek these things as well, then we welcome you to join our family in the vaults.
And speaking of welcoming, welcome back, my friends, to the Vaults Remastered. That was the lore for the Gnishiho, a homebrewed ancestry I've put together for my Vaults of the Under-Earth campaign that I've been talking about for a while now. And so I want to get into the rest of this, looking at their lore, mechanically speaking, and the heritage and all that stuff. So let's just dive right into this. So I was trying to figure out a way in order to incorporate these, the concept of a Sverfniblin, one of these umbral gnomes and Pathfinder lore. I really like the idea of the first world and that history of escaping from the first world as Fae, but I also wanted to fuse these gnomes with my game world, this subterranean world, this darklands, this under earth, that stoniness. So I had to figure out some way to merge these together. So that's where the Gnishiho comes in. And that is where a lot of these feats and mechanics I'm about to tell you about will kind of factor in. So here we go. This particular ancestry is common in the game world. Starting hit points is 8. Small size as you can imagine. Their speed is average at 25 feet. They've got boosts in dexterity because of their nimbleness, intelligence. Obviously, they're pretty smart, having a knowledge of the stones and the Fae. They get the free boosts, and their flaw is strength. They're not the bulkiest, beefiest guys out there. Languages, they speak the Undercommon, Gnomish, of course, and I added this new one in here because I really want to go after this angle of light and crystals and that sort of thing. So it's a form of, I guess, Morse code might be the way to look at it. Flashing mirrors, flashing gems in order to reflect light and bounce messages, signals. And they are able to, and I talk about this here, that for Gnishiho, this is a way for them that's distinct for them, unique for them. Silent communication. I've got a limit of about 120 feet on this. You'd need, of course, direct line of sight is what I'm trying to say there, in order to communicate basic information. You're not going to be holding, ritual prayers through the gem light signals, but just basic, messages of watch out, danger, that sort of thing. GM would have to rule upon what exactly is, okay or not there. But this is their first unique feature that I threw in here to their ancestry that I think is pretty cool. And other ancestries could potentially learn this language if they've, lived amongst the Gnishiho before. So I don't see that being a problem. Traits, Gnishiho, of course, the gnome, humanoid, and maybe Fae. Not 100% sure about that one, but I'll pencil it in there as possible. I also have Fae as a possibility with my Morshael, my dark elves that I had done my last video on. So we'll kind of see. I don't want to give too many traits or too much overlap, but it's there as a possibility. Special abilities, they've got low light vision, and as I mentioned in many of my other videos when I talk about ancestries, the visual skill or ability or special abilities that these ancestries have, these homebrews, it's really not special given the environment, given this darklands, under earth survival. They're going to have to be able to see down there anyway, so this really to me doesn't count too much as a special ability. But the Beacon of Light is one of their first ones. Again, a little unique ability here. It's essentially the light cantrip. You're able to touch a gem or a crystal once a day. It gives off a 20-foot bright light, dim light another 20 feet. So it's like I think that is the same stats as a light spell or like a lantern or a torch. 10-minute duration. They dismiss light as a free action, and while it's active, it gets a +1 circumstance bonus to initiative checks and perception checks in the illuminated area. So it's not a straight up light cantrip, because with the light cantrip, the remastered version, I believe you can move it like old school dancing lights. This is a fixed light that you'd put on a gem or crystal, so it can't just be somebody's hood or your staff or whatever. It has to be something rocky, mineral that they attune to here, and it lights it up 10 minutes and gives them a little bit of a bonus there for initiative and perception. And then the second thing or third thing here, second unique thing is they're artisan of the depths, really leaning into the gnomish ingenuity, that creativity, that tinkering that is kind of flavorful for your standard gnome. And this carries through down to the Gnishiho here, although it's limited down to crafting. So they get a +2 circumstance bonus, which is pretty strong on crafting checks, but it's not any and all crafting checks. It has to be tied to one of these three areas that has been chosen at character creation. So metal, like smithing, gems, jewelry, that sort of thing, or clockwork, tinkering, mechanism stuff. So if you're doing some sort of crafting in one of those limited fields, you would get this bonus. And you have to choose it, and you can't, unchoose it later, of course. So that's your fundamental mechanics for your Gnishiho. From there, I went ahead and thought about, okay, what heritages would go with this group? And this is one of the big reasons why I'm even bothering with creating ancestries for my Under Earth campaign world here known as the Vaults. It's because in regular Pathfinder 2e, you do have gnomes and you do have an umbral gnome, but that's the only heritage of gnome that would even make sense down here, given that, they would have, what, I think it's dark vision or low light vision or something like that. But that's not the only game in town. These gnomes, these Gnishiho, have been down here for thousands of years. So over that time, they've adapted, they've evolved. There are different heritages. So Pathfinder, this core, rule book, rules as written type of ancestry heritages. This is not enough flexibility for my game world, which is 100% down in the subterranean world. So I had to come up with some new stuff. And looking at this heritage or looking at this ancestry as a whole, looking at the lore, light, gems, refractivity, earth, stone, metal, those types of things needed to be in these ancestries. So that is what you're going to see when I show you them one at a time here. So the first one is actually going with the deadly, I guess, disease or rot or whatever you want to call it, a cancer, I guess, with surface gnomes who are very colorful and vibrant, is the bleaching. So if you look at Pathfinder lore, this is one of the curses of the gnome people is suffering the bleaching, and it's a rare thing. But anyway, you lose all your color, you wither, and you die. But for some reason, here that is within the under earth within my vaults game world, that's still a thing, but there's a subset of Gnishiho who have survived this bleaching. So this is what I'm talking about here. Seen by other Gnishiho, these bleachlings have escaped the grave, so they look like they are like the risen dead pretty much. Bleachlings have somehow survived the ravages of the bleaching, this lethal affliction that drains Gnishiho of color and their love of life. Their skin, their hair, eyes are nearly colorless, so they're pretty much albinos. And your demeanor ranges from eerily calm to an emotional void, so you were pretty much even dead inside emotionally. However, you've embraced this loss of vibrance, finding comfort in your monochromatic existence among the pitch of the deep vaults. There you walk paths less traveled, your presence barely a whisper. Many of your kind become vainward sentinels, so that's like a little mini faction within the game world, within the Gnishiho society. Solitary explorers skilled at navigating the treacherous depths. These would be like rangers, mapping uncharted caverns and serving as scouts for your enclave. And the power they get is Duskbringer. It's a 2 action ability. Once a day, you can use this as 2 actions, I should say. You can absorb ambient light within 20-foot emanation of yourself, lowering the light level by 1 stage. So if it's bright light, you go down to dim. If it's dim, it goes down to darkness. If it's already dark, well, then it's not going to do anything else. And it lowers the light by 1 minute, and it does not affect magical light sources, but it's just natural sources. So you're able to sort of just snuff the light, just lower it. Your own very presence is just absorbing light and just kind of depressing everything around you. And that's going to be a key feature of their heritage feats I'm going to talk about in a few more minutes. Anyway, dark vision is your other thing you get. So you get this Duskbringer ability and you get dark vision as your second little thing here. But dark vision in the game world, it comes with a uh, light blindness condition where you have to make a flat check in order. Otherwise, if you go in a brightly lit area, you can be blinded and dazzled for a brief moment or time. Anyway, that's their big thing. I mentioned this next part about burdens in my Morshael video from a couple weeks ago. This is a optional, rule variant I'm throwing in here just as potential that I might use at some point. And the idea being that you get these gifts, the heritage, gives you something, but it also exacts a toll. So emotional void, the process of surviving the bleaching has left you emotionally distant. You find it difficult to form close bonds and express emotions. This can lead to misunderstandings and a sense of isolation. You suffer -1 circumstance penalty to diplomacy and intimidation checks when dealing with other Gnishiho. I'm not even sure it should be intimidation. It just might be diplomacy, because they actually might be scared of you. So I think I'm actually going to retcon that right now, and just your diplomacy. So you are not seen as friendly, I guess, right? People are going to look at you like, ooh, you're scary, you're half dead. So that would be a burden. Flavorful, there's a mechanism here behind it. It's something that I could throw into the game, so I've included it as I go with the rest of these. Tradition, another little thing I've started to add to my ancestries, my heritages specifically, is this heritage is pretty specific. The bleachling, so not only might you have a special ability and a burden, but there's probably special traditions or practices that your kind would follow. So this is known as a ritual, the Vain Word. To honor their role as explorers and scouts, Bleachlings perform a monthly ritual of the Vain Word. This involves a journey into uncharted paths of the vaults. Kind of think like a walkabout, marking new paths and leaving behind small glowing stones to guide travelers. This ritual strengthens their connection to the vaults and role as pathfinders. So these guys don't have a problem with kind of being alone. They're probably used to it because most normal Gnishiho are looking at them as, ooh, you might be contagious or something. And then the other thing I mentioned again in a couple of my videos about ancestries is I'm also developing subset of the ancestry feats that is prerequisited by the heritages. So I have heritage feats. They're the same as an ancestry feat, but they're just tied to those particular ancestries or heritages. So they would have Shadow Meld at first level, Echoes of the Deep at fifth, Emotion Dampener at 9, Vault Warden 13, Abyssal Embrace at 17. We'll take a look at those, and once I get past these heritages, you'll see what these exactly mean. All right, so that is the first first heritage known as Bleachling. I've got 5 more. Whenever I create a homebrew ancestry, I go for it, I swing for the fences, and I come up with 6 additional heritages to go with it. So this is kind of like if you're playing a gnome, you might have 6 options of these sub races or these heritages in regular Pathfinder. So if you're going to go into my game world, the Underearth, below the surface of the world, I try to have as many options as you could if you were playing on the surface. All right, so here you go. The next one is the Earth Caller, and these are going to tap into that idea of the able to communicate with the Earth elementals, these Godai Chi that I was talking about. So, as an Earth Caller, your blood resonates with the primal forces of the Earth itself. You have a deep intrinsic connection to the stone and soil. I don't know if it's actually soil, but dirt, allowing you to sense, shape, and summon the earth with unparalleled skill. From effortlessly navigating rocky terrain to summoning powerful Gadai Chi. I don't know if that's even plural or not. Probably doesn't have an S at the end of it. Your abilities reflect a profound bond with the subterranean world. Your talents range from geomancy to creating protective barriers and unleashing devastating earthquakes, embodying the very essence of the earth. So each of these heritages, I try to give a little blurb, a little extra lore, a little extra flavor, so that as you're reading through these things, it's getting a player to want, ooh, that's cool. You got a cool pick, you got a cool description, maybe there's a cool ability here. So you're really trying to get the players to like sink their teeth into stuff. Benefit, Stone Talker. You're able to speak Petrin, the language of the earth and its native denizens. You also gain the trained proficiency in nature and lore geology. If you'd automatically become trained in those skills, you can pick something else, right? So nature, lore, geology, pretty standard fare here, nothing crazy. Extra language. Burden, again, optional. Burden of resonance. Your deep connection with the Earth's primal forces can be overwhelming. During times of intense emotional or physical stress, you experience sensory overload from the vibrations and energy of the Earth. This results in a -1 circumstance penalty to will saves when in rocky or danger or underground environments. So you have to be in contact with stone, and there's got to be some sort of stressful event. So again, this can kind of be up in the air as to what exactly that means for a GM's perspective. But typically, if you're being attacked and it's some will save, you can argue, hey, it's underground. You're just overloaded the rocks and the vibrations. This triggers you because you're constantly in tune with these vibrations in the first place. Tradition got communion with the earth. So the earth callers are participating in this seasonal event, ceremonial gathering where they meditate and attune themselves to the natural rhythms of the planet. During this ritual, they share knowledge, reinforce their bonds with the earth, and perform geomantic practices to ensure the stability and safety of their communities. This is more just flavor. This is just role play. This is something that a GM could, provide something to do during downtime, or a player could, want to do something with this during their downtime. Maybe there's then a benefit if they do this proper communion. You could add a temporary buff to the player character for the next day, the next week, whatever it is. Heritage feats, Earth Touch, Stone's Embrace, Stone Guardian, Stone Shaper, and Earthquake Stomp. I'm sure you know what that one's going to be about. All right, the third heritage is the gadgeteer. This is going into that tinkering side, those clockwork, the people that are working in those workshops and building things, the gadgeteers. They're the pinnacle of Gnishiho innovation. From a young age, you've shown an exceptional ability to comprehend and create complex devices. Your creations are both practical and awe-inspiring, often serving multiple purposes. You're often seen with custom made tools and gadgets, and you have a reputation as a problem solver and innovator. Your benefit is ingenious device. And at first this was maybe too OP. I think I've got it tamed now, so it's not too crazy. So once a day, provided you have some basic rudimentary materials, some scrap parts or whatever, you can spend 10 minutes, like an exploration type of moment, downtime activity. You're crafting a tiny mechanical device that's designed to assist with a specific skill check. So when you use the device in relation to the skill it's designed for, you get a +2 item bonus to that skill check. For example, you might create a clockwork magnifying glass for a perception check to spot some small details. Maybe you're trying to do like the seek or search or something like that. You can make a miniaturized grappling hook for an athletics check to climb, something you have to do after this exploration. A precision scale for a crafting check you plan on making to appraise a gem or something. Each of these device, it's a single use thing. So you get the +2, it's done. You can only do it once a day. You got a 10-minute, downtime in order to do this. And it's not some sort of combat tool, so you can't like use it to stab somebody or whatever else, right? Maybe there's some fringe case you could come up with it, but all these tools are fragile enough that you couldn't, it's not going to survive contact with the enemy, literally. Burden, optional again, gadget dependency, relying heavily on your gadgets. You can become overly dependent on them, sometimes to the detriment of your own skills. When you don't have access to your gadgets, you have a -1 circumstance penalty to skill checks related to crafting, perception, athletics. So you don't have, maybe this ingenious device, or again, exactly what it is there's some sort of tinkering tool set, some sort of artisan tool set that they don't have with them. It causes them problems. So they're so dependent on these gadgets and tools that they're having a penalty if, let's say, they were locked up and don't have their stuff with them, their equipment. They can't just athletic bend the bars open or whatever. They're gonna have a penalty. Tradition, Festival of Innovation. The Gadgeteer Gnishiho celebrate their ingenuity with this festival. During the festival, they showcase their latest inventions, engage in friendly competitions, collaborate on large scale projects. This event fosters spirit of creativity, continuous improvement in the community. Again, I'm looking at this as a fun little downtime activity, right? I talked about downtime activities a couple months ago when I was referring to a Reddit post about somebody, a poster had been concerned about downtime activities taken away from urgency, that sort of thing, which is possible. But here's sort of another reason why maybe you could use downtime rather than just seeing it as a waste of time. It could be, hey, they do some sort of innovative creation, and again, maybe your character gets a buff out of this. Maybe they're able to build something even more ingenious here that has multiple uses or gives a +4 bonus or something. I don't know, but it gives a little bit more incentive to spend some downtime with characters that would be something useful for them. Heritage feats: Mechanical Savant, Ingenious Repair, Clockwork Companion, Monkey Wrench, and Master Inventor. Your next one is the Gem Blade. So kind of think about these guys almost like the Jedi Knights of the Underearth here. They have crystalline blades that blaze up with elemental power. The Ur Force, the UR that I have as my game world as like a electromagnetic energy flowing through the crystal veins of the earth. Anyway, descended from a lineage of esteemed warrior artisans, these guys would also kind of be like your samurai warrior, your noble fighters, just highly trained, educated folk from noble families, possibly. So these gem blades are distinguished by their glowing warp fire tattoos. So kind of like think almost like Yakuza would have like tattooed bodies and that sort of thing. A lot of the influence for my Gnishiho is drawing from like just sort of Eastern flavor, Japan, China, that sort of thing. Some of their mythology I try to bring into the lore. Some of their history, like the Stoneward Code, a lot of that was based upon the Bushido Code. Anyway, these guys, gem blades, kind of think like a samurai sword, a katana. That's the symbol of their martial heritage, their connection to the Earth's magic. They often serve as not burrow wardens. I think that's a D&D term. I have them. They have burrow captains. These elite soldiers excel in subterranean tactics, blending combat prowess with protective magic to defend their communities and mines. So you can maybe see them as champions as well. They can be swashbucklers, perhaps. What is it, duelists, I think? Anyway, their training emphasizes the use of terrain for tactical advantage, and they're respected for their vigilance and adaptability in the face of danger. And I was just thinking with those new, what is it, the commander class that is being play tested right now, that could fit here. Actually, might fit very well with a gem blade. Benefit: you get Luminous Surge. It's an action once a day. You can cause the Warp Fire ink in your tattoos to radiate light, increasing illumination in a 10-foot radius around you by one stage. It's kind of like bumping the light up a little bit, like a light cantrip. Get you +1 circumstance bonus to attack rolls until the end of your turn. This ability not only serves as a visual beacon, but also tactically disorients your opponents, giving you an edge in combat. That is, I think, going to become more apparent in the heritage feats that the gem blades could tap into. I believe the Luminous Surge, if I planned it correctly, can also act as a debuff against your enemies. So, and I might even, I had to see, would it be too much, too OP if I put in immediately +1 bonus to your attack rolls and throw it in here, -1 penalty to enemies, to an enemy, all enemies, to, let's say, enemies attack rolls who are also in this aura. That might be a little bit too wordy, but let's kind of give it a test here. Give it a thought. So you glow. You get a +1 bonus to attack rolls until the end of your turn, and -1 penalty to enemies' attack rolls. But it would have to be to the end of their turn, so the end of the round, maybe. End of the turn, end of the round. I don't know, something like that. I have to play with the wording of some of these things to see if it makes sense. I don't think that's too OP, is it? You get a +1, they get a -1. I had to go check the heritage feats because I might have already put that in there, but I'll put it in parentheses for now because I'm gonna come back and double check this. Hey, this is the beauty of homebrew, right? You can tweak things as you go, you can test things as you play, right? There's nobody saying you can't do it. I'm not publishing this and, pumping out 100,000 books tomorrow, right? I'm sharing this with my players. I got a couple people playing Gnishiho, so this could be something that they would test, although none of them are a Gemblade, though. Anyway, Gemblade, they do this Rite of the Radiant Blade coming of age ceremony where they receive their Warpfire tattoos. So that could be a critical event, not necessarily in game per se, but a backstory event. Uh, and they get their personalized Gemblade, so you can see this thing handed down. Maybe this is also where you can work on like a nemesis for this character, where somebody has scarred their tattoos or tattooed over their tattoos, or they never received their gem blade. During this ceremony, they were attacked. Their family was attacked, and the gem blade was stolen. They never got their tattoos finished. This could be a driving plot for this particular character, or maybe it's an NPC who's hiring the player characters to recover their gem blade. You could use it in that sort of thing. Heritage feats: Honored Blade, Warpfire Strikes, Strategic Ambusher, Tunnel Tactician, and Warpfire Detonation. The next one is the Refractionist. I love this picture for this little this little goofy girl here. So Refractionist Gnishiho. This harkens back to the old illusionist. When you got to play gnomes for the first time. What was it? Advanced D&D way back in the day. Gnomes were like fighter illusionist split class. Was their race abilities whatever. Anyway, refractionist, illusionist. That's the idea here. They're also manipulating lights and using crystals and mirrors to kind of bend the light, reflect the light, use that to make this illusion type of magic. So, born from a lineage celebrated for mastery over light, refractionist Gnishiho possess a unique ability to manipulate light into intricate illusions, combining deep understanding of optics and the properties of crystals. You are invaluable for navigation and exploration in the vault's dim realms. Your skills extend beyond mere tactical uses like camouflage. You're adept at crafting dazzling visual displays that captivate and communicate. Whether for strategic misdirection or artistic expression, you definitely turn light into a tool for both concealment and creation. So the benefit is Veil of Light, a two action activity. Once per day, you manipulate light within a 15-foot radius of yourself to create a zone of illusionary cover that can distract or mislead onlookers. While it doesn't create specific images, this shifting play of light and shadow will obscure exact positions within the sphere, making it harder for enemies to pinpoint your location. For a minute, you and your allies have a +1 circumstance bonus to stealth checks within the area. That might be more of like a hide thing. I think it's more of like a concealment than necessarily hidden. So I mean, the rules for observation in Pathfinder still confuse me a bit. So I might have to revisit those rules specifically about concealment and the hidden condition. But essentially, it's creating a fluctuating light and shadow that you're able to move within. So people obviously know you're there, right? Like, duh, there's a big swirling lights and shadows, but they can't pinpoint you. So it could lead to not necessarily stealth checks. It might debuff enemies' attacks against you or debuff their perception checks. So I'm going to pencil that in here. Debuff enemy attacks and perception checks by -1. Something like that. -1, -2. I don't know. That could be the better explanation than you're stealthy, because stealth is sort of misleading. You're not really going to be stealthing anything. I mean, stealth allows you to conceal objects, hide, and sneak as actions, so it might apply for stealth checks, but I'm almost thinking it's more of a debuff against enemies than you personally benefiting as a buff. Maybe it's doesn't really matter splitting hairs, but just wording in my mind makes a little more sense that way. All right, burden. Dark sensitivity. Your ability to manipulate light makes you sensitive to rapid drops in illumination. Sudden darkness can disorient you, resulting in a -1 penalty circumstance to perception and fortitude saves in sudden conditions. So if somebody throws a dark spell or somebody snuffs a torch, whatever, and exactly what sudden darkness means, is that a drop of 2 light levels? Is that entering darkness from an area of that was lit? exactly what that means would have to be clarified mechanically a little bit more to make this workable. So this is more just a spitballed idea right here, but it kind of gives you this concept that these refractionists really like light. They're manipulating all the time. So suddenly exposing them to darkness would sort of freak him out. And then traditional festival lights, refractionists host this grand festival lights where they create stunning light displays and illusions to celebrate their heritage. This festival is not only a showcase of their skills, but also a time for them to reconnect with their roots and inspire the younger generation to explore the art of light manipulation. Heritage feats, illuminated, dazzling display, luminary adept, gemstone prismatics, and radiant mirage is the level 17 feat. All right, rune carvers, our next one. This ties into the runic languages, the Jotun language, and just to kind of clarifies something as I'm thinking about a little bit when I'm talking about the eldest from the first world, which is Pathfinder specific lore. I've co-opted that for my Gnishiho with a subset of eldest known as the Kami, Kami, which ties into again like Japanese mythology as spirits or gods of elements and that sort of thing. So I have this chi, the Godai chi, or like the earthy versions of it, like earth elementals. But these fey creatures, these earthy fey, these Kami, um, I'm possibly, I haven't decided yet, but I might mesh them with the idea of giants in the game world because in the Under Earth here there were giants that fought with the dragons, the leviathans back in the day. This the concept of the war of Maul and Talon that you saw in the lore video. That was essentially that fight between draconic leviathans, which would be like lung dragons, the ones without wings that you'd see like in Chinese mythology, versus the Jotun, these stone giants, fire giants, that sort of subterranean giants, shadow giants. And so the giants were in support of the stone people, the Droog, which are my Durgar, the Oread, which are like your Genasi, stone, and then you've got these Gnishiho, these Svirfneblin remakes. So those two forces would have fought. So anyway, who were the Kami? They were these Fey lords of earthly powers. Were they the giants as well? Maybe. Loosely. So anyway, kind of brings it up here because I start talking about the rune tongue. I talk about Jotun. Jotun and the rune tongue are the same in my mind. And then the rune carvers go with the kami teaching the Gnishiho how to speak the rune tongue. So is the rune tongue the same runic language as the giants? Probably is the way I'm leaning towards this. Anyway, I digress. Rune carvers, descendants of a lineage steeped in ancient geomancy, the rune carver Gnishiho are not only master artisans but also inheritors of a deep mystical legacy linked to the giants. Again, this could be the kami. Legend holds that the giants, renowned for their runic language, Jotun, and profound bond with the earth, were the architects of the deep realms the Gnishiho now call home. So when they were building, Petra and the other, the land of the three stones there, that mythical land, the giants, these, and also the Godai Chi would have been critical for building this wonderful ancient world. Whether through direct teachings from these towering beings or by unearthing their long lost lore, the rune carvers have mastered the art of etching powerful symbols into the very bones of the earth. As a rune carver, you are descended from the guardians of these sacred traditions and have their knack for blending magic with craftsmanship. Your voice harmonizes with the deep resonances of stone, and your hands awaken the latent energy within minerals, turning simple carvings into potent talismans. And I'll give a little bit of a shout out to Cobalt Press because one of my original ideas, they have like a deep magic series, Rune Magic was in there, and that was where my initial idea when I was playing the 5e D&D version of this game. I had rune carving, rune crafting as a like a class that my players could choose. At least some NPCs were that. Anyway, throw it out there because I'm also relying upon that as part of this build here. It's not all just Pathfinder stuff or D&D stuff or whatever. Benefit Runecrafter. Your connection to the wisdom of the mighty giants allows you to understand the language they use to channel raw elemental power. you gain the trained proficiency rank in crafting. If you're already trained in that, you pick something else. In addition, you know the rune language of the giants Jotun. I might have specialty crafting skill here as a specialty crafting feat. I don't know. I gotta double check. Specifically, what would it be? Like masonry? I don't know. Gotta look at that. If you're not sure, there's like different specialties that you can craft, like smithing, alchemy, whatever. So you could potentially, or it might be magical crafting. I have to look because sometimes I'll throw that in as rather than just generic crafting, it'll be a specialty crafting that you specifically would focus on. Because, crafting could be anything, right? It could be fixing a torn sweater. These guys aren't fixing torn sweaters. They are crafting stones and able to engrave on the surface and within, like crystals, they can leave runes and stuff. So that's why I'm wondering if this needs to be refined a little bit more without pigeonholing them too much. So anyway, throwing it in here as something I need to go back and double check later. Burden, geomantic exhaustion. The intricate process of carving runes and channeling geomantic energies can be physically and mentally exhausting. After using your runestone legacy ability, which I think is what this is supposed to be. Runestone legacy. That was the word. That's the name of this thing. There we go. After using that ability, although it's not really an ability anymore, so I might have to fix this. After using runestone ability, so I guess if you're crafting, that's where I think I might be leaning towards the crafting feats, or maybe I need to. Maybe this is you create an actual stone that applies a skill buff uh, once. So, example, +1 to athletics if you make a rune stone with strength or whatever, right? So maybe that's the idea here. That might be more interesting than just raw crafting. What if you could create one of 6 different rune stones or crystal, depending on what type of crystal, what type of symbol you put on it, that you could apply to one of those skill checks or one of your ability, not ability scores, but you know what I'm saying, your strength, whiz, whatever, right? You can apply it to a save, you could apply it to uh, a skill check within that wheelhouse of that skill or that ability. Anyway, that might make more sense. And then this way, this would make more sense because after you've done this geomantic exhaustion, you find this exhausting, you suffer fatigue, you get a -1 penalty to strength and dex skills. So this is not the fatigue condition, although it might need to be. You gain fatigue 1. Let's use the condition. Fatigue 1. And fatigue 1, you don't need to specify that it's a 1 hour because I believe the fatigue condition is you need a long rest or something like that to remove it, typically. You gain the fatigue 1 condition. I believe long rest removes it. So I'm going to have to go and revise this a little bit. But I like this. I think that makes more sense. I like this idea that 6 options and maybe chosen at character creation, right? Maybe you have to choose which of these options you want, and then you could gain additional rune stones at each ancestry level up. So 5, 9, 13, 17. So by the time you're, level 20, you've got 5 out of the 6 or whatever, right? That could be something interesting. Anyway, that sounds pretty cool, all right? Tradition Rune Carver's Vigil. Annual event where they spend a night in silent meditation carving runes into the stones of sacred sites. This tradition honors their ancestors and the giants who taught them the art of rune carving, reinforcing their connection to the earth and their mystical heritage. One other thing I'll say about the giants could exist already on the world, and when the kami escorted the gnomes from the first world to the vaults to the underearth, the giants were there, and maybe the kami they were distant relatives. I don't know, or they pass them off to them as, hey, watch out for these our friends here, little children. I don't know. All right, so that is the list of 6 heritages, right? So we had the rune carver, we had the refractionist, like your illusion, light person, gemblade, kind of your samurai, Jedi, warrior. You got your gadgeteer, tinkering, traditional gnome stuff. You got the earth caller. This is like the able to summon earth elementals, which is another traditional gnome, at least Svirfniblin ability. And then the bleachling ties directly into that Pathfinder lore of bleaching. So those were the 6 heritages that I came up with for my Gnishiho. So hopefully that's some cool, flavorful stuff there. All right, so what I want to do now is kind of end with talking about some of these feats that I've got for each of these, not just heritages, but in general, overall feats. I'm not going to go through, 17 levels of stuff. I've only got the first level generic feats for the Ancestry done anyway, and then I'll take a look at the specific hierarchy of feats for the heritages. So as far as the Ancestry feats that you would pick at first level, 5th, ninth, 13th, and 17th, I've got the first level ones here. So these are just generic, any of the Gnishiho can take it. So Brilliant Burst, this relies upon that Beacon of Light Ancestry ability. So once an hour, I have this as. They are able to harness the brilliance of the gems and minerals. They create this dazzling display that overwhelms opponents. They can channel the light of their gem light beacon. So the Beacon of Light, you're able to essentially put a light spell on your beacon, and you can then throw this thing as an unarmed attack, range increment of 20 feet. If you hit, target's got to make a fortitude save against your class DC or spell DC if you're a caster of some sort, or they're dazzled for 1 minute. Critical fail, they're blinded for a round instead, and this ends that gem light beacon's effect immediately upon throwing it. Cavern Chameleon's another one. Your deep connection to the subterranean world allows you to blend in seamlessly to rocky landscapes, mimicking the textures and colors of your surroundings. You're difficult to detect, especially when you're remaining still. So for the next minute, you gain one. This is probably going to be put on a once per day thing, I'm guessing as well. Once per day. Yeah, I think I have to limit that. Otherwise, you're just turning it on all the time, right? Once per day, you can use 2 actions, I think. This probably makes sense because you're essentially adjusting your skin color. Although if you're kind of more like an octopus, that's pretty quick. So maybe 1 action. Anyways, 2 actions. For 1 minute, you get +1 circumstance bonus to stealth checks made for the sneak action, and +2 circumstance on stealth if you're trying to use the hide action, as long as you're in a rocky underground environment. So it has the limitation of, locale. If you're in the middle of a tavern or whatever, it's not going to help you. But if you're stony area, ruins, dungeon, that kind of thing, this could definitely work. It's limited once a day. It costs 2 actions, but it does have a 1 minute duration, so that's pretty strong. We already had it as 1 action up here. All right, so I guess I should look up there. So let's leave it at 1 action for now, but I need to limit, I think, to once a day because otherwise you're going to be turning this thing on all the time. And that's OP. Earth Talker, especially as a feat, first level feat. Earth Talker, your attunement to the subterranean world allows you to sense subtle vibrations within the earth and communicate with elemental denizens. This connection provides you unique insights and enhances your ability to navigate and interact with the depths. When you're using Tremor Sense, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to perception checks. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus to diplomacy checks when interacting with creatures that have the earth or metal traits. Earth or metal shouldn't be and. Which goes along with Rage of Elements because they've added metal as a new element. And you can speak and understand either Petrin or Talakan, which is the metal elemental language, stone, or metal. The only thing I'm looking at here that is a problem is Gnishiho do not normally have Tremor Sense as any sort of innate ability. So having a feat that helps your Tremor Sense doesn't really help. So maybe I need to use this, and maybe when using hearing, that might make more sense. When using Hearing, I don't know. Again, I got to look at this because otherwise, if you don't have tremor sense from anything, then what good is it? Unless you get tremor sense from some other spell or ability. Let me just double check to see if I put tremor sense somewhere else. Be right back. All right, it's like I thought. I There is a couple other places where tremor sense is an ability that Gnishiho can acquire, but it's not till I think maybe level 5 in one case and level 13 or something with another feat. So this wouldn't help if this was buffing your tremor sense at first level, because it would be like you'd have to wait 5 levels to even use it. That's kind of stupid. So what if when using an imprecise sense or something like that, uh, instead of just your visual, an imprecise sense like hearing, smell would make a difference. I don't know, just something that makes sense when using hearing to, for perception checks, I guess. You get a +2 bonus to your perception checks. So it'd be specifically just kind of listening for things. That could be useful. It's not gonna, break the game at all. Maybe it should only be a +1 bonus. I don't know. But it's just, imprecise. So maybe you're listening at a door. That sort of thing might make sense. But otherwise, it's just a little fluff. All right, Echoes of the Past is the next one. This is an exploration activity as its main use. So once a day, the stones speak, and you've learned to listen. So it's not an in combat ability. By tapping on a stone or placing your ear to a wall, you can commune with the ancient echoes within Earth. The information gathered often relates to the history of the vaults, its ancient inhabitants, geological or arcane properties of the area, whatever, that sort of thing. I don't know if it's necessarily arcane, but it'll make me primal. Maybe make a little more sense, especially if you're talking about the Ur energy. You get a +2 circumstance bonus on a single recall knowledge check using a skill that's relevant to the information that you're seeking. You're considered trained in this skill, whatever skill it is, although this does not mean you ultimately understand what the stones speak of. So, in other words, you can use recall knowledge even if you're not skilled in it, because recall knowledge, uh, I think you get extra information if you are trained in that skill, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I gotta double check that. Is training needed? Is training needed for recall knowledge? I know in general no, but I think it adds a little bit of extra boof if you have it. I'm gonna take a look at that real quick just to make sure I know what I'm talking about before I go any further. Okay, I was right. So you can do recall knowledge as an untrained skill and get, some basic information. But if you are trained or expert or whatever, you can get more detailed information. So what this is saying is that you can make this recall knowledge check. You get a +2 bonus on it, and the answer of the information you get is as if you are trained in that skill, even if you weren't. You're considered trained uh, if not already possessing this proficiency or higher. Yeah, this might be a little bit wordy, but kind of getting the point across here. So you're considered trained if not already possessing this proficiency or higher in this skill. So I think that'll make a little bit more sense in this skill for the purpose of the check. If not already possessing this proficiency or higher. Although this does not mean you ultimately understand. So let's say, you're not proficient in, I don't know, society or whatever is the check you're making, and you make this check, you're like listening to the stones, you're hearing echoes, and so you might get some information like, the king of the stone of the deep was Throgar the Terrible. You don't necessarily know who Throgar the Terrible is, you just hear this name. So that's the difference between what I'm trying to say here. Then, if you actually were trained in society and made this check, it would, maybe then make sense to you. So that's why what I'm specifically talking about here, you ultimately don't necessarily know what it means, but you do have the information. All right, Elemental Resonance. Another feat. This is a reaction, so it's triggered when you take some elemental damage like acid, cold, electricity, etc. Frequency is every 10 minutes. So again, maybe this is too frequent. I don't know, but every 10 minutes is pretty much an encounter space. I might just say recharge with refocus action might be a way to say this instead of every 10 minutes. That might be a better way to word it. I need to go and look at any similar feats that have wording like that and see if it makes, and use that language. But anyway, harnessing properties of crystals, you absorb, mitigate elemental damage. You momentarily channel the energy into nearby crystals or gems that you're wearing on your person, reducing the amount of damage equal to your level. So it's damage resistance once every 10 minutes to that particular elemental damage type you're taking. Reducing the damage, reducing a single damage type, single elemental damage type, right? Elemental damage type. It's not all, if you could take some mixed damage. Reducing a single elemental damage type by an amount equal to your level. So that's pretty, strong, but it's a once every 10 minutes thing. And that's where maybe it's too strong, maybe it's too good for a first level feat, and maybe this needs to be a once a day thing. That might be a little more uh, conservative. Hey, it's a once a day, once per day. Okay, so you channel this thing as a reaction. I kind of like that. I think it's a little. I don't. I'd rather be able to buff it later than have to nerf it later. Gem Strike, 2 actions. You're wielding a melee weapon once an hour. Again, maybe this should just be once every 10 minutes. Maybe it's every day. Let's see what I'm saying here. Your ancestral connection to the earth, its minerals, allows you to speak to the elemental radiance within gemstones. During combat, you can channel this radiance into your weapon, infusing it with elemental power. The infusion lasts for a minute or until you successfully land a strike, whichever comes first. After the effect ends, the gemstone requires 1 hour to recharge before it can be used again. You may only empower one gemstone at a time, but you can recharge the type of stone to alter the damage type. All right, so you can only have one at a time, but you can change the type of stone to get a different type of damage type. So that has to go with, as a GM player, to have to say, hey, they've got different types of gems within on dangling from a necklace or something. So you make a strike with the weapon. If it hits, you deal additional D4 damage of the type with the gemstone, like fire for rubies, cold for sapphires, etc. A weapon can only have one such empowered gem attached to it at a time, and it does heighten, I was saying, by a D4. Again, maybe this is too much. Maybe it shouldn't get any stronger. Maybe it should only be once a day. It's only a D4, right? So it's not gonna again break the game. But it is gonna scale up as you level. So, a D4 every level. Maybe this should be a D4 every ancestry bump, fifth, ninth, etc. So this might need to go by. Or I leave it at a D4 and increase the length of time. Maybe it lasts for 1 minute. And then it's once a day. So you recharge once a day. It lasts for 1 minute, and you do this one type of damage, extra D4 on your damage, and you can recharge it each day. I kind of like that. It kind of simplifies things rather than the heightening stuff down here. I think we get rid of that. I think we say it's once a day, like this. Simplifies things, I think. During combat, you can channel that infusing energy. The infusion lasts for a minute. Let's just say a minute. Um, do do do. 1 minute. After the effect ends, the gemstone requires 1 hour to requires 1 day to recharge. You may only empower one gem at a time, but you can change the type of stone, alters damage type when you make a strike. So actually this is part of the action, so it's both. So you're charging it up and you're making a strike. If you hit, you deal additional damage. Although I don't think I need to worry about this anyway. Whenever you make a strike. So if I change it, instead of this being a special strike, it's whenever you make a melee strike with the empowered weapon, it deals an additional 1d4 damage of the type associated with the gemstone. Okay. I think it's makes a little more sense now. A little easier to digest rather than multiple algorithms you need to do. Gnishiho weapon innovation. This is your standard, ancestral ability with special weapons. You favor mechanical weapons of your innovative people, projectiles, windups, and multifunctional attachments integrated with empowered stones and complex engineering. You gain access to gadgets and firearms. Now, this is a little bit risky because I don't want to bring black powder and all kinds of crazy, Alkenstar type of things here. But there are gadgets and there are like warp fire type of weapons. There are projectiles. I mean, don't get me wrong. These things do exist. I just don't want to make it so easy. The gadgets for sure make sense with the Gnishiho. The firearms is sort of the more riskier part of this because I don't want to get into black powder and stuff like that. As well as all uncommon weapons with the gnome trait. You have familiarity with weapons with the gadget, firearm, and gnome traits. So I'm putting this in here for now. I don't know if this is something I'll allow right away, but as I get a little more comfortable with the game and stuff, I might ease off because right now I have a ban on gunslingers in my game. Anyway, so that's what that is all about. You can use gadgets, firearms, etc. So if you're able to acquire these items, you can use them whereas, the average person out there has no idea how to use these enhanced, advanced Gnishiho weapons. Pet rock. It's kind of like what you think you're going to get a pet here. You bond with a small Godai Chi or animated mineral entity. Akin to a familiar, you gain the pet general feat with the following modifications. Your pet rock typically appears as a tiny animal in a shape of your choosing, such as an insect, reptile, or rodent that would normally be found walking or crawling through the vaults. It's got the elemental, earth, and minion traits. It gains 2 actions during your turn if you use the command an animal action to command it. This replaces the usual effects of command an animal, and you don't need to attempt nature check. A pet can't make strikes. The level of the pet is your level. Modifiers AC. Your pet's save modifiers AC are equal to yours before applying circumstance bonuses. It uses 3 plus your level for perception, blah, 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 etc., etc. There's a whole section about pets in the player course. I don't want to go through all this. But long story short, you're able to give your pet rock 2 of the following abilities. So it's more of a utility thing. It's not some sort of combat stuff. It can move around. Maybe it can look for stuff. It can alert you to things, whatever. So it's kind of a fun little thing. It's again not something made to attack and tear your enemies to pieces. Piercing the depths is your next feat. The ever-present shadows and elusive light within the vaults have heightened your awareness of illusions. You possess innate ability to perceive the subtle cues of illusion magic, making you more adept at seeing through the deceptions. This skill ensures that even the trickiest of visual distortions rarely escapes your notice. You get a +1 circumstance bonus to perception checks and will saves against illusions. When you come within 10 feet of an illusion that can be disbelieved, the GM rolls a secret check. Now, illusion, if I'm not mistaken, is still a trait in Pathfinder Remastered. So this should be fine if I double checked it before I made this. So there are spells, they don't have the schools of magic anymore like they used to before the OGL debacle thing in the remaster. But magic of illusion nature still has the illusion tag. I'm almost 100% sure. Again, I'm going to pause real quick to double check so I make sure that I'm not telling you wrong. All right, it's confirmed. Illusion is a trait, spells and effects and such. So it could even be, let's say, some magical hazard trap type of thing could be illusion. So that's what this is giving you a bonus to saves against. I'll clarify that. Magic and effects with the illusion trait so that you don't think it's just some magic spell. Okay, with the illusion trait. There you go, clarify that. So GM makes this roll. You get the extra +1 bonus there to detect this thing. All right, Sairazul's Blessing. Sairazul is one of the primordial entities. It's a Pathfinder, creation, so it's not mine. But I am reflavoring it and fusing it with a D&D primordial by the name of Sunis or Sunnis, known as the True Stone or the Lodestone Lady. Picture this fusion as that crystalline termite queen from Pathfinder blended with this metallic, uh, you know, I don't want to say meteor, but lodestone, right? A magnetic ore. So this crystalline queen, she's beloved by Gnishiho people, the true stone. She always points you in the right direction, like magnetic north, so they can find their way home. That's part of their myth and part of their legend. She's actually I believe, the sister of Sairazul, who Sairazul is my remake, again, a Pathfinder thing, but I've fused that concept with Ogremok from D&D, so I have this fossilized king, stone tyrant, lord of the Black Earth concept is the Seekers of the Dark Wells, primordial, the bad guys. So this would have been sister of him and gets in a whole other set of mythology I'm not going to get into right now, but just FYI, that's sort of the connection between what's going on here. So she's beloved by the Gnishiho, whereas Sairazul would have been beloved by the Droog. So kind of puts them in opposition automatically. Anyway, Sairazul's blessing. You can choose a cantrip with the light or earth traits from the spell list below. So glass shield, healing plaster, light, scatter scree, or tremor signs. These are all remaster official, names of spells and cantrips here. So you get to choose one of those. It's heightened to a spell rank equal to half your level. So this gives you an extra cantrip is what you get from this blessing. Subterranean Savvy, your deep connection to the subterranean world affords you special insight into creatures of elemental stone and metal. You get a +2 circumstance perception saving throws against creatures and effects with earth or metal traits. Maybe I'm leaning too much in earth and metal traits. I think it's about the third time I've had something like this, but again, I've got 12 feats I'm trying to come up with that are generic. I've got the heritage feats, which add to that list. So, there might be a little bit, I don't want to say redundancy, but, there's a lot of options. But I'm trying to give players as many options as I can, given that I'm recreating everything because I can't just use gnome abilities from Pathfinder, right? I could use a lot of them, yes, and I've converted them, reskin them into a lot of these things here that you're seeing. And then I had to come up with a few extra to sort of fill it all out. Wisdom of the Three Kingdoms. It's not the Three Kingdoms anymore. It's the Three Stones, I believe is the proper term here. So the three stones. One second, let me confirm. I don't know if I want to use stones or treasures. One sec. Yeah, three stones makes more sense than the three treasures. Three three stones is like the land, the realm itself. So having the wisdom of the three stones is you have the knowledge of the people that live there, whereas the three treasures were both figurative and literal treasures that were sacred to the three different pillars, the three ancestries of the stone people, the Gnishiho, the Droog, and the Oryat. So those three people lived in the land of the three stones. They were a pillar in this land, and they each had a sacred treasure that was like their you know symbolic blessings or whatever of the old world, Fae, the kami and such. And those treasures have been stolen by those wicked the Leviathans, the my worm seed in the game. Their leaders, the facet Leviathans, the crystal dragons. Anyway, wisdom of three stones. What do you get from this? Whether it's precious stones, metals, intricate sculpts, etc., your goods and crafts pale in comparison to those of the ancient masters. Their knowledge literally carved and erected the great cities of the three kingdoms. Again, it should be stones. Boom. That were the envy of all. So like Petra would have been one of the grand cities back in the day. Their legacy lies in the ruins of grand halls and temples throughout the vaults, inspiring you to learn everything you can of their ways. You pour yourself into the study, mastering ancient techniques as swiftly as you can, as many as you can, in a never ending quest to improve and adapt. And then the ability is this: you gain the additional lore feats in a specified field related to minerals, gems, stone, or metals, gemcraft lore, metalworking lore, stone carving lore, something like that. And the assurance feat for that chosen lore. Additionally, as long as you have access to the new information somehow, you can retrain the chosen lore subcategory in 1 day of downtime. So you can keep retraining this to one of the other things. This is again probably better for something like a downtime activity, where you need to know something about gems, let's say, you do that, and then maybe you go to the library or whatever, you get some new information about stone carving, you learn that one, you forget your old one, retrain it. So it's like a quick ability to lore and get more information, but you don't retain anything. You're kind of like jack of all trades, master of none idea here. All right, now let's conclude with the heritage feats. So we got those are all generic ancestry feats, a dozen of them, but the Gnishiho also have access to heritage feats based upon one of the six heritages. And so I've laid out, Bleachling, Gemblade, etc. And you're going to see I've got the 5 feats, first level, fifth level, 9, 13, and 17 for, counting over here, 17 for each of those. So let's take a look. Bleachling is the first one. Shadow Meld is their first level feat. Gnishiho trait. Bleachling is the prereq, of course. Trigger, so it's a reaction. You're targeted by an attack while you're in an area of dim light or darkness. I think you know where this is going. So your monochromatic existence has honed your ability to blend into shadows. By remaining still and attuned to the darkness, you can evade attacks with ease, becoming nearly invisible to your enemies. You quickly blend into the shadows, making it harder for your attacker to hit you. You get a +2 circumstance bonus to your AC against the triggering attack. This ability can only be used if you haven't moved since the start of the current round, emphasizing your ability to remain still and blend in the shadows. So if you've already taken your turn and moved, this doesn't work. But if you're, let's say, later in the initiative order and somebody's trying to attack you and you're in an area of darkness or low light, you can react and get this bonus to your AC if somebody's trying to target you. Echoes of the Deep, 5th level, Gnishiho, Bleachling. Your connection to the vaults allows you to sense the ancient echoes within its depths, enhancing your survival skills and movement. You attune your senses to the echoes of the vaults. The next 10 minutes, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to survival and stealth checks. Underground, it can move through difficult terrain made of natural stone or earth without penalty. So this is for 2 actions, so you can then get this ability. Emotion dampener. This goes with the bleachlings like lack of effect, right? They're very just emotionless. They're drained not just of color but of emotion as well. 2 actions. You have to use your Duskbringer power. That is that heritage ability, that innate like shadowy cloud that they lower the light around them. You possess the rare ability to draw not only light into you, but also intense emotions from your surroundings. The subtle drawing of emotion can be particularly useful in tense negotiations or to soothe a volatile situation. When you activate Duskbringer, you can instead choose to create an aura of calm within the 20-foot radius that lasts for a minute. The aura reduces the impact of extreme emotions, granting you and your allies in the area +1 circumstance bonus on saving throws against emotion effects. So that is another thing like illusion. There's different spells and things that have emotion. I'm also wondering if this might help with diplomacy checks as well. If you're trying to calm the situation down and request a favor, maybe that would apply here. Don't know. Maybe. I have to think about it. Uh, kind of pencil that in. Diplomacy too. Diplomacy also. It depends, what exactly diplomatic stuff you're asking, because it's not always gonna be a calm requirement. Vault Warden, 2 actions, once a day. You can invoke the ancient energies of the vaults to enhance your senses and defenses, becoming a stalwart guardian of the subterranean world. For 1 minute, you gain tremor sense. So here's one of those tremor senses, but it's, you know, 13th level. 60-foot radius, +2 status bonus to AC and saving throws while your feet are in contact. This might be OP as hell. This might maybe have to be reduced down to 30 feet. Because you're already getting a pretty chunky AC and saving throw bonus and tremor sense. It is level 13, so it's justifiable maybe. But dang, that might be might be a little bit OP. I might need to back this off a little bit. Maybe this should just be a +1 to both. So 30-foot tremor sense, +1 AC, +1 saving throws, maybe fortitude saving throws. That might make a little more sense because it's more like a strength kind of concept. I don't know. Invoke the ancient energies of vaults, enhance your senses and defenses, become a stalwart guardian. Maybe I get rid of the saving throws. I don't know, and just go with the AC bonus. Yeah, because all saving throws, because it's a will saving throw, does that make sense? I don't know. This doesn't seem like. I guess you could argue either way. Because, I've got tremor sense, so maybe I can sense things and my will saves are better. I don't know. I'll leave it like this for now. It might be OP. I guess I'll worry about it when I hit level 13, right? Abyssal Embrace, 17th level, once a day. This is only once a day, so that's maybe something else. Just kind of backtrack real quick. It's only a minute, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. Two actions, once a day, you become one with the darkness, drawing upon its ancient power and move through the earth and strike fear into your enemies. Your attacks carry the weight of the abyss, dealing devastating damage to those who dare confront you. So this is Abyssal Embrace. For 1 minute, you gain the ability to teleport between areas of darkness. You may use an action to travel up to 20 feet into an area of low light that you can see. If the area is in darkness, your range is increased to 30 feet. These actions do not have the movement trait and are unaffected by difficult terrain. So you're using an action, you basically pop over here to an area where it's darker. Additionally, your attacks in the dim light or darkness deal bonus void damage equal to your level. So that's a 17th level feat, so you're doing 17 void damage. That could be pretty nasty, maybe half your level. Because if it's every attack, your attacks, your melee attacks, maybe that might make a little more sense than spell attacks and everything else. Your melee attacks, because yeah, if you're shooting stuff outside the thing like range and whatever else, your melee attacks in dim light, your melee attacks that I think I reduced the melee attacks this way. You can't like I'm in darkness and I'm shooting out of the darkness and got to worry about that. Or if it's a range attack in the darkness and you're out of the darkness, I don't want to get into those splitting hairs. Let's just say your melee it's within your reach at this point. That would make sense. Additionally, your melee attacks in dim or darkness deal void damage equal to your level. I don't even know if it should be all three, because if you land through bam, 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 you could be doing 51 void damage. That's huge, isn't it? So this might need to be backed off. Equal to half your level. That might make more sense. To half your level. Okay, a little more reasonable, I think. And this way I don't have to nerf the fact that it's every attack. Okay, Earth Caller Heritage is the next cluster here. We've got Earth Touch, a two-action feat. Your connection to the earth is so strong the very ground accommodates your presence, allowing you to grip and navigate stone with ease. You get a +2 circumstance bonus to athletics checks when attempting to climb rocky terrain. In addition, you ignore difficult terrain of stony nature. So this needs to, if it's going to have an action, then it should last only a certain length of time. So maybe I just don't have it cost actions. I mean, why? You just have Earth Touch. You get +2 circumstance bonuses when you're climbing to athletics, and you ignore difficult terrain of stony nature when walking. Right? Makes sense, I think. Okay, we'll go with that. Stone's Embrace. Your connection to the stone allows you to meld with it, providing protection in times of need. Once a day, you can summon a protective shield of stone around yourself or an ally. The shield gives you a +2 circumstance bonus to AC, so it's like having a regular shield. Lasts for a minute. If the shield's attacked, hardness is 10 and 20 HP. I gotta double check this and compare it to like a regular, off the shelf type of shield. It should probably be harder and more durable because it is a 5th level ability, but I just want to get a comparison and make sure this makes sense. So if the shield is attacked, I'm guessing that means you use the shield. I wonder if this should also give you the raise, the reaction there, raise shield or whatever it is. Not raise shield. Raise shields is the action. I forget what the shield block. I think it's shield block reaction. Once a day, you can summon a protective shield of stone around yourself or an ally. It gives you the +2 bonus to AC and lasts for 1 minute. +2 bonus, circumstance bonus to AC if you use the raise shield action. So it's just not a static thing. Raise shield? Or is it literally around your body? I think it's literally around your body as I read it now. Protective layer. Instead of calling it a shield, I want to do this. Protective skin of stone around yourself or an ally. This barrier provides a +2 circumstance bonus to AC and lasts for 1 minute. I think that makes more sense. And if it's targeted, then it has that target. I don't know if it's circumstance, so it might be status. This is kind of spell-like, isn't it? Or even an item bonus. I think it might even be an item. Well, if it's an item bonus, is that going to mess up your other armor? Let's go status. I don't know. I always get confused between circumstance status. I think status are spells and circumstances are kind of more generic. Maybe this should be circumstance. Status. I don't know. Let's put it as status bonus so that you can actually add it to stuff. I think that makes it a little more interesting, a little cooler. Stone Guardian, 3 actions. You summon the earth to protect and aid you. You can cast Summon Elemental. That's like a spell. Once per day is a third rank primal innate spell, but you can only summon a Kodai Chi. That's like one of the earthy elementals, so it has to be something earthy. I'll put that in parentheses so that it makes sense. Earth. Okay. Stone Shaper. Stone's Embrace, that is one of your. Oh, by the way, some of these are prereqed based upon earlier abilities. I try to put at least 2 per, list of 5 here that were prereqed off of an earlier uh, feat in your chain here. So Stone's Embrace, Stone Shaper, they connect to each other. Your mastery over the stone, earth, and stone allows you to create barriers and structures with ease. You get Wall of Stone once per day as a 5th rank innate primal spell. So I believe that matches, should be okay with a 13th level. So here at Stone Embrace, this is when you're able to do that stone skin essentially. And then Stone Shaper is you make a wall. And then Seismic Stomp is your big old, foot stomp power. You smash the ground with your foot, 30-foot radius wave, tremors, you're the epicenter. People have to make reflex save against your spell DC or your class DC, and then depending on what they get, critical success, no damage, half damage, knocked prone, and they take bludgeoning damage 66. They critical fail, knocked prone 66, and they're stunned 1. So that is a bad. So normally it's 66 damage, half for success. They can be knocked prone, they be stunned. All right, let's go on to the last few of these. Gadgeteers, the third heritage, I believe we're talking about. 1 action mechanical savant. Your innate understanding of mechanics engineering allows you to excel in the creation and repair of small objects, especially mechanical devices. You gain trained proficiency in crafting. If you're already trained in that, you can pick something else. In addition, you gain specialty crafting clockwork feats. So if you try to create clockwork, I believe specialty crafting allows you to do it with a +2 circumstance bonus. It might also make it cheaper to craft it. I gotta look at the rules and crafting. That's a whole nother set of things. I'm not going to talk about it right this second, but you can craft and you can craft clockwork well. Ingenious repair. Your expertise with mechanics allows you to perform quick and effective repairs. You gain the improvised repair general feat. Additionally, once a day, you can grant a mechanical device or construct a temporary improvement. This improvement lasts for 10 minutes and provides a +1 circumstance bonus to a single check or action performed by the device or construct. So if you're making your own constructs, you're making your own little pets and stuff, this would be nice. Or if you have an ally that's got a construct or some sort of device that they're using, I might have to look at the exactly what is a device in game terms, mechanically speaking. Is that an actual term, or is that something magical? What does that mean? Or am I talking about? Maybe I should be saying a gadget, tying back to the gadget trait. I don't know what device means in Pathfinder terms. I need to look that up. Clockwork Companion. You've mastered the ability to build a small clockwork device. You gain access to the inventor's construct innovation ability. So this is sort of like an archetype ability, right? You're able to dip over into inventor, the construct innovation. Your innovation is a mechanical creature or clockwork made of cogs and gears. It's prototype, so you're not going to be stepping on the inventor's feet at all here. They've got much better at this point than a prototype. But you can essentially create a familiar, if you will, a prototype construct. It's a construct trait. It's got some proficiencies, size, strike, so it can attack. It's got ability modifiers, hit points, immunities, senses, speed, you name it. You're creating an actionable, movable thing that you can attack and do stuff with. So, again, a whole ton of stuff here. Uh, but as a gadgeteer, you're able to cross the boundary into the inventor class. Or, and I think if you're already, yeah, I say this here, if you already are able to create a prototype construct companion because you are an inventor, let's say, then you may add a second initial modification to it when you choose this feat. So you're able to buff your construct that you've already created with another modification. Monkey Wrench is your level 13. That's an attack, two actions. Your precision and tinkering allows you to disable or repair mechanical devices and constructs. So once a day, you can attempt to use your artisan's toolkit to temporarily disable or impair a mechanical device or creature with the construct trait that is within reach. So if the target is a mechanical device, you do a disable device attempt using your crafting or thievery skill, and you got critical success, you disable it. Or you get two successes towards, let's say it's some trap that's complex, you need multiple successes in order to shut it down. You get two. Success, you disable it, or you get one success. Critical fail, you're going to trigger the dang thing. You're going to increase the DC of attempting to disable it by 5 if it's some sort of mechanism. If it's a construct, you make your crafting check against its fortitude DC, and you can make it clumsy or enfeebled depending on, what you choose and what you get with a critical or regular success. If you fail, you're unable to figure out how this thing is put together and you cannot attempt this action again against it. All right, Master Inventor is your 17th level feat. It has the Gadgeteer and the Clockwork Companion. So, Clockwork Companion was that Inventor feat back here. All right, the 9th level feat. So, with this one, your precision in the tinkering allows you to. Oops, sorry, keep going. Your mastery of invention allows you to create complex and powerful devices using during your downtime. You can upgrade your prototype clockwork to an advanced. So again, it's like inventor class, but it's your 17th level. They're able to do this like at level 9 or something like that. So again, you're not stepping on the inventor's toes, but you're able to buff your companion that you've made. Okay, and you're also able to apply a breakthrough modification. If you need to know what this stuff is, you got to go look at the inventor class to get all the information from it. And if you're already able to do this because you are an inventor, then you're able to add a second breakthrough modification. So you're able to buff your current, advanced clockwork thing that you've made already. The Gemblade Heritage is your next group of feats here. So with this one, I'm trying to think, I've got defensive tactics. Did I must have dropped off the name of this feat or something. Strategic ambusher. Skip that, would you? I think that was a holdover. I had to still delete it. Honored Blade is the first feat. So you're descended from the Honorable Warrior family. You get this Gem Blade, extensive training. You gain the additional lore general feat for warfare. So your family is training you how to be a soldier, how to be one of these burrow captains, for instance. Furthermore, you get one Gem Blade for free as it was given to you at birth. So at character creation, if you choose this feat, you have a gem blade already. These razor sharp crystalline blades are carried by all members of your heritage as a weapon, symbol of honor, and designation of family and station. Losing, selling, or having to surrender your gem blade is a terrible taboo and earns you the disdain of other Gnishiho. And the gem blade statistics are boom. So essentially, it gets you a free weapon during character creation that you wouldn't have to spend your gold on or whatever else, right? If you're playing a gem blade, I don't want to say this is mandatory, but it's probably you would want to take this feat given its integral part of your lore, unless you're building some gem blade who's lost their blade, or you're maybe in a lower status family and you have to create your own, make your own lightsaber type of idea, maybe. Warpfire Strikes. You channel the energy of Warpfire tattoos into your weapon for a minute. After this action, your melee attack weapons deal additional d6 fire damage. When Starfinder gets its remaster, I want to see if there's like radiation damage type because I would switch it over to that if that's the case. But for now, fire damage will work. Strategic Ambusher. This is your feat at 9. You need to be a gem blade, of course. Expertise in using the environment to quickly create tactical advantages makes you a formidable opponent. You gain trained proficiency rank in crafting. If you automatically become trained in that skill from your background or class, for example, you instead become trained in a skill of your choice. In addition, you gain the Snare Crafter dedication feat. Really, this feat is all about the Snare Crafter, and I don't think snares were in the remastered version when the player core came out, or the GM core. So I think it's going to be in Player Core 2. So this may need to be edited once Player Core 2 comes out in the next month or so. But I'll have to wait and see. But that's the main reason for this and why there's crafting sort of double dipping here because I already have, I think, crafting is a skill you can gain other ways. But you need to be, I think, proficient in crafting in order to do the snare crafter. And this might need or this, I might even say this is expert efficiency. If you're already trained in crafting, you become an expert instead or something like that. That might be more important for this. Again, this might need to be reworded a little bit because it's a ninth level feat, so this might make more sense. If you are already trained in crafting, you become expert instead. That might make more sense. I don't know. I have to word that in there. Or expert. I have to see if that is a thing in any of the current feats or become expert in the feat. That could be the way this has to be worded. Tunnel Tactician, 13th level feat. Gemblade, Strategic Ambusher. You have to have that feat already chosen. So Strategic Ambusher is the one we just talked about. Your specialized training in combat allows you to use the environment to your advantage, turning solid walls into strategic assets during battles. You can use a solid wall within 5 feet of an enemy to flank them. So you can use a wall as flanking, causing them to become off guard. This ability allows you to treat the wall as an ally for the purpose of determining if an enemy is flanked, granting you a tactical advantage in combat. So that's a cool thing. The effect lasts for 1 round, though. So uh, I'd have to figure this out exactly what that means, because as long as they're standing next to a wall, it lasts for 1 round. Maybe they become immune. An enemy becomes immune to this effect after 1 round. Maybe that's what I need to say. Immune to this effect after 1 round. After the round it is used during. Something like that. So if you take advantage of this, the enemy, I would assume, catches wise to your tactics and you don't get it again. I don't know. But again, it's a 13th level feat. Maybe you should keep getting it. So I don't know. Maybe this shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't become immune. Maybe you just freaking get it. It's 13th level, right? Isn't again, it could be too OP though. I don't know. Too OP. OP question mark. I don't know. Gotta look at it. Is something comparable. This is the problem, homebrewing, right? You're gonna come up with some cool ideas, but they could be way too much. It could be overpowered. Warpfire Detonation. This is your Honored Blade or Warpfire Strikes. So if you take one of those 2 feats, you channel the volatile energy of Warpfire into a devastating explosion, incinerating your foes and disrupting the battlefield. You strike the ground with your tattooed fist or your gem blade, depending on which one you're using, causing a 20-foot radius explosion of warp fire centered on you. All creatures in the area got to do a reflex save, or they start taking damage. 66 fire, 2d6 persistent fire. And again, is this radiation when Starfinder Remaster comes out? I would like to find that information out, but that's the idea. Additionally, the area is filled with lingering warp fire, becoming hazardous terrain for a minute. Any creature that enters its turn there is going to take some of this residual fire damage just walking through it. All right, Refractionist. Got 2 more to go. Refractionist and Rune Carver. So, Refractionist, you've got your deep understanding of illusion. Sorry, Illuminated is an action. Your deep understanding of illusions and light enhances your magical abilities. You gain trained proficiency in Arcana or Occultism. If you're already trained, you get something else. You also get a +1 circumstance bonus to deception checks made to create a diversion. So it's basically the idea that you're flashing some light or blinking something. Dazzling display. Your light manipulation techniques, using those, you harness the full spectrum of colors to craft illusions that disorient and bewilder. You gain dizzying colors. Second rank arcane innate spell. You can do this once a day. Luminary adept at feat 9. You have to have illuminated illusionist, which I think was this one here. Yeah, you have to have the illuminated feat, not illuminated illusionist. Unless that is what I was calling illuminated illusionist. Whatever, it's illuminated. You gotta have that one. Your understanding of illusionary projections is increased, blah, 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 etc. You get a +2 circumstance bonus to saving throws against spells and effects with the illusion trait. Additionally, you gain the recognized spell general skill feat for spells from both the arcane or occult traditions, even if you don't meet its prerequisites. Furthermore, if an arcana or occult tradition spell or effect you're attempting to recognize has the illusion trait, your proficiency is treated as one rank higher, so you're expert to mastery side. Maybe that's how I need to word that other feat I was talking about earlier, where you get the crafting. Anyway, gemstone prismatics. You need the Veil of Light as a prerequisite feat. So you've learned to use gemstones as a focus for your illusions, making them more convincing and harder to resist with the addition of the crystal's inherent frequencies. When you use a spell or effect, the illusion trait with the illusion trait, you can use a gemstone as a component to grant you, that's why it has a manipulate trait, to grant you a +1 item bonus to the spell's save DC or spell casting modifier as appropriate. In addition, the area of effect of your Veil of Light heritage ability increases to a 20-foot radius, and you and your allies gain a +1 circumstance bonus to any deception checks that you're making within that. So Veil of Light is from the original Refractionist ability itself, which I think is like Persuasion or something like that. Radiant Mirage is your 17th level feat. Luminary Adept you need to have. So this is you create an intricate illusion that combines dazzling light and shadow to overwhelm your enemies. Once a day you can cast Prismatic Spray. I don't know if that has changed its name for D&D. I'm gonna double check that one. Go back and double check. So with the remaster, they changed a lot of the spell names. So I gotta see if that's still what it's called. 7th rank arcane innate spell. This powerful illusion channels the full spectrum of light into a devastating attack that can blind, disorient, and damage your foes. This also might be has not yet been remastered, and so if it hasn't, you could still use the pre-remaster version, which is probably why I've left it this way. We'll see if it gets remastered with the Player Core 2 when that gets released. All right, last heritage is Rune Carver. So here you've got runic craftsmanship. You possess specialized knowledge of ancient rune script, which is the, like, I guess kind of the Jotun sort of tongue, I'm kind of thinking, although it's, more magical. Along with secret carving techniques to enhance your crafting abilities, you gain expert proficiency in crafting. Again, I feel like I've got crafting 3 or 4 times, so that's why I think if I go back and change that one ability in the rune carver to be you make like a little magical rune stone, then this will make more sense here as something you can add to your repertoire. So anyway, I don't know, or maybe I need to give it some sort of language thing too that you can understand. You read Jotun, which I already have that somewhere else. I think might need a little more. Maybe. Gotta double check. Or something a little bit more flavorful. I don't know. We'll see. Jotun's Legacy. You can imbue stones with magical energy, reflecting your ability to tap into the latent power of the earth once per week. So, downtime activity. You can create a blank rune stone for free. Oh, yeah. So, rune stones are actual magic items in Pathfinder that allow you to transfer runes from like weapon to weapon or something like that. So, blank ones like blank sheet of paper you're able to put the runes on it under normal circumstances. So with this feat, you can create a blank runestone for free once a week. In addition, you have a +2 circumstance bonus on crafting checks made to transfer runes to or from this rune stone. So that's a pretty decent thing if your character's into crafting, if your game is into crafting. So that's why crafting is a big, thing down here as well. So I just gotta look at this rune carver or look at the Gnishiho heritages in general and just see if there's one too many crafting things. I don't know. We'll see. Rune etching. Rune carver Gnishiho. Again, you can inscribe temporary runes on various surfaces, imbuing them with magical effects. Once a day, you can cast first rank runic weapon as a primal innate spell. And again, I think this is one of those older names that has not yet been remastered, but maybe it has, as a primal innate spell. This ability manifests your instinctive understanding of runic magic, enabling you to inscribe. I don't know if it should be primal. Maybe this should be arcane. Because I feel the primal's more the earth callers as an arcane innate spell. I think that's what I used earlier as well. Arcane techniques. I feel like, yeah, arcane maybe makes more sense here. This ability manifests your instinctive understanding of runic magic, enabling you to inscribe a crafted item with a burst of magical energy. I don't think it's instinctive. Let's say it's comprehensive. You've been studying it. Makes more sense. This is more of an educated Gnishiho, right? You're studying this ancient language, this runic language, and the ancient powers of the Jotun. All right, Giant's Gift. You draw upon the ancient teachings of the giants to fortify yourself or an ally with the resilience of stone. Once per day, you can spend 10 minutes of exploration activity to scribe powerful runes on a creature's body, no larger than medium sized, including your own. During the next hour, that creature can cast Mountain Resilience as a 6 rank innate primal spell. But again, I think it should be arcane. That is the Stone Skin remaster, if I'm not mistaken, Mountain Resilience. Stone Splitter Glyph. You need a rune etching, which was the feat from 9th level. You can create a powerful rune that channels the raw power of the Jotun to sunder stone with a localized earthquake. By spending 10 minutes, you can inscribe a stone splitter glyph on a stone surface measuring 10 by 10 foot. Any creature that moves into or touches the target area that doesn't speak the password or matches the trigger activates the glyph. Alternatively, the rune carver Gnishiho may activate the rune by spending 3 actions with a range of 60 feet. It's like a time bomb. When triggered, the glyph causes the Fisher's effect of the Earthquake spell. So look up the Earthquake spell, and Fisher's is one of its side effects in a 30-foot radius centered on the glyph. So it just fractures and cracks open the earth. And Fisher's, actually, I put it right here. Check it out. Each creature on the ground must attempt a reflex save at the start of its turn to keep its footing and avoid falling into 40-foot deep fissures that open beneath it. So that would be like 20 damage if you fall into it. The fissures are permanent and their sides require DC 15 athletics checks. It actually probably be higher given that the feat is athletics check equal to your spell DC. Athletics checks equal to your class, equal to your spell casting or class DC, whichever is higher, to climb. There we go. Then it'll scale up better. All right, there you go. That is 2 hours of hardcore to the bone, down to the earth summary of the Gnishiho lore from the video presented by my NPC Hana there. And all the different mechanics and heritages and the feats that I've come up with that my player characters are able to use in my game. The Vaults Remastered, the Vaults of the Underearth. Hopefully that was some cool, interesting, fun information for you. If so, you know what to do, right? You subscribe, all that cool stuff. You can make some comments down below, of course. Any thoughts you have on the madness of all this, or any of those feats that you saw me talk about were maybe too OP, or they were underpowered, or something was just crazy, didn't make sense, let me know down in the comments. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Peace out. Have a good one.